You're listening to the IFF TV podcast.
Welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the League of Ireland show, and this is episode 2, which last week really should have been episode 2, but unfortunately international football got us so caught up that we didn't get a chance to do an episode 2. So this is episode 2, and we're going to continue on from this week. So obviously the big game this week was Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk, a 2-1 victory for Shamrock Rovers. I was at this game, but Gary, firstly, your thoughts on that scoreline, and were you watching from home or what were you doing?
Well, I was actually watching Treaty United and my Limerick bias, but I did keep an eye on it, Paul. Look, a year ago we were both in Tala and Rovers beat Dundalk 3-2, and it felt really significant, and I think it proved to be really significant. This one, maybe not as significant given it's a 36-game season now and Rovers are already champions, but it still feels to me like a massive win for Rovers. And if you look at the league table, it's got to be a little bit worrying from Dundalk, from a Dundalk perspective. 3 games played and just 1 point. I suppose they're looking at the teams on top at 7, but they're also looking at Shamrock Rovers on 4 with that game in hand. And it's certainly a case they really can't afford to fall any further behind. Now, from what I can gather, I thought Dundalk were unfortunate on Friday night. I thought they probably deserved at least a point. And Rovers can probably thank Alan Manus in particular, and maybe a bit of luck with the woodwork as well. But it feels important. And I know we talked about Rovers. Look, they were magnificent last season, worthy champions. You can talk about the 18-game season. That doesn't matter. They were going to win that league no matter what, and they were fully deserving of it. But 36 games, and it's also much harder to retain a league than it is to win it, because everyone is going to want to beat the champions at this stage. But this still feels like a significant win.
Yeah, well, obviously Dan Mandreo got off the mark. I think that was significant as well, because Stephen Bradley had said after, I think it was the game against St. Pat's, how much he thinks he will just get better once he gets that one goal and gets that out of his system. I think he'll start getting more shots and get more efforts on goal. And then obviously Dylan Watts got the second goal before Patrick Hooban got a late header. But yeah, Alan Manus on the night was absolutely outstanding. Dundalk still strike me as a team that are still trying to feel each other out in terms of, like, I remember even Junior came on, and Chris Shields was very, very, frustrated with him. He was like, Junior, what are you doing? Because he just looked like Junior didn't know what he was doing. They brought on that striker as well that they signed from Klaxvik as well. He didn't really show, much. I thought Pat Hooban was quite good, but, overall, I think, in fairness, Alan Manus was the big difference there, and he's probably the best goalkeeper in the country right now, and he won Shamrock Rovers the game. But I do think as well, Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk both had chances. So, as you said, at the end of the game, if it had ended a draw, I don't think either side would have complained. But I think it is worth noting that, Sean Hoare seems to be, growing every single game he's playing with Shamrock Rovers. That I've watched him, I've seen him 3 times now. Sean Gannon seems to be struggling quite a bit in that right wing back position, and I don't know if it's because Graham Burke and Dan Mandreo kind of go into the pockets of space that he seems to be occupying, because he's a lot higher up than, and like, say, your average right back, and he's playing more of a right wing back. But Sean Kavanagh coming back in, I know he missed a large spell of last season through injury, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic as well. So I think with the difference with Shamrock Rovers this year is even though they lost key midfielders, they have a lot of strength and depth. Even still coming off the bench was Dylan Watts, who obviously got the winning goal. Then you had Gary O'Neill, Rory Gaffney. So you have a lot of players there that still have a lot of quality. And I do think Dundalk will start coming good in the next few games. I just think that they are still trying to feel each other out. I think there is still obviously a lot of confusion around, the whole thing of who's in charge, who's not in charge, and is Filippo the one that calls the shots, even though Shane Keegan comes and does the interviews? So there's just confusion around that. But I suppose it could be said the same with St. Pat's, with Alan Matthews and Stephen O'Donnell. So it just seems to be the way that's kind of the norm at this season anyway. But I do think Dundalk, I wouldn't be worrying. I know the league table looks a bit upside down right now, but I wouldn't really be worrying from a Dundalk point of view. I still think they'll finish in the top 3 regardless. Whether that's enough for Dundalk fans, I'm not sure. They can let us know in the comments. But from your own point of view, do you think things will start clicking for Dundalk soon?
Yeah, look, Paul, I think they'll definitely finish in the top 3 and probably actually in the top 2. But I think given the players they signed and the budget Dundalk have, they would really have expected to challenge Rovers for the title. And they may well still do this, and they may well still win the league, because it is very early days. And they've been a bit unfortunate. I mean, well, unfortunate in some ways. They signed some really quality players, and then they go away on international duty, and they're playing regularly for their countries. I mean, playing for the Faroe Islands, playing for Latvia, and then they're not available for Dundalk because we don't shut down during the international break. So a little bit unlucky from that perspective. And also they weren't able to get games cancelled. It seems a bit of an anomaly to me that if you have players in either our squad or the Northern Ireland squad, you're allowed to get games called off. But if you have players playing in World Cup qualifiers and scoring, in fact, for the Faroe Islands, for Latvia, etc., for Albania, you're not allowed get games called off. So, but I suppose there are the rules in the participation agreement, and Dundalk were aware of that when they signed these players. So I've no doubt they will click, and they've got a quality side, and they will get things right. But the question could be how far behind the likes of Shamrock Rovers they will be when this happens. And I know, look, you're going to have fans of other clubs saying, hang on a second, look at the league table and who's top. And I know we were joking the last time, Finn Harps are top, and look, incredible. And hats off to Pats and Sligo as well. But I think ultimately when it comes down to it, I would expect Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk to be the top 2, although it may take quite a few weeks for that to pan out that way.
Yeah, well, I think, you just mentioned there the players that went away. I think that guy, Yarkovskis, the right back, he was playing left back in this game. I'm not sure why Darragh Lee wasn't starting left back, but anyway, I think he's going to be a really good player, especially this season. I think you'll start seeing more of his quality. Even at left back, he was really, really good. He was just bombing up and down from left back, and Sean Gannon had a hard time kind of keeping up with him and stuff like that. And I think Sean Gannon will come good for Shamrock Rovers, and I'd say, all the fans want him to come good, because obviously he started there, it didn't really work out. He moved to Dundalk and became the best right back for a number of years. So I think he'll be looking to replicate that form at Shamrock Rovers, but I think it's just going to take time for that to click for him. But as well as that, Brian Gartler went down injured early in the game, which kind of forced Dundalk to change their shape and stuff like that, and change their game plan a little bit. So hopefully he will be okay and comes back sooner than expected. I think he's expected in the scan tomorrow, so hopefully that goes well for him and he's back playing soon, because I think the league needs someone like him. He's a great character. I do think Dundalk need him as well. He's obviously a big leader for them, so hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, he's obviously a crucial player for Dundalk with his experience and everything as well.
Yeah, so after the game anyway on Friday, I caught up with Stephen Bradley and Ronan Finn, so you can hear that here.
Stephen, a couple of weeks ago we were here, I think it was for the President's Cup, and we were speaking about, or it was actually the Pats game, and we were speaking about Danny Mandrio, and once he got one, then you'd kind of see, the confidence shining through. Obviously you got that one tonight. How delighted are you to see him get off the mark?
I'm delighted for him, because he showed glimpses of real quality, and he's worked really hard. His attitude's been top class, and we know Danny can score from anywhere 30 yards left or right foot. We know that from scoring against us, so we know how dangerous he is, and tonight I'm delighted he's up and running now. Yeah,
just kind of overall the first half was a fairly even game. I mean, you had a couple of chances, they had a couple of chances, but what were your kind of thoughts overall in the first half?
Yeah, I think you've said it. Yeah, I think it was pretty even. I think we had better passages of play, but on chances, I think it was pretty even. And then second half, it became a bit scrappy, a bit open, and and we went 2-0. We looked comfortable. They were throwing lots in the box, but we didn't look any danger really until they scored, and then it was a bit tetchy for the last few minutes.
Yeah, these affairs always seem to be very, they're obviously closely contested, but they're obviously cagey affairs too. I mean, the tackles do fly in, but from a neutral's point of view, it is great to watch. Like, how do you manage to kind of keep the lads kind of calm for these games? Because you can see clearly, the rivalry is there.
Yeah, look, it's just about being professional and understanding that as a player, you're no good to anyone sitting in the stands. So you got to be calm and collective, and you play with intensity, but also be calm in your head. It's a difficult skill, but that's why they're professional footballers.
Yeah, I think you may have had to said that to Graham Burke at one stage throughout the game there, because it looked like he was close to coming to getting a second yellow. Yeah,
it was part of the reason. Obviously, we took him off. He was the type of game it is. All it takes is a missed time tackle, and we're down to 10 men, and you can't afford that in a game like that. So you have to be very careful.
Just obviously, like, this is your second game after missing the Derry game last week, but we were here a few weeks ago. It's lost the President Cup on penalties, but how nice was it to bounce back then again and win? I suppose psychologically, how important was that for you?
Yeah, I thought we've been good. The President's Cup we were good, Pats we were good, tonight we were good, so there's no issues. I think that's 24 maybe games unbeaten now in the league, so I think it's a tremendous run the players are on, and I think you can see they want to fight to keep that going.
Yeah, how impressed have you been now with the gelling of the players, because everything seems quite fluid now? Yeah,
we're getting there. I think you can see again in passages that we're getting there. But I think this team won't show its true potential until midway through the season, until we really get the understanding and the timing of what we're doing. But I think you can see signs that it's not too far away.
Absolutely, that's great. Thanks very much for your time. Right, I'm here with Ronan Finn. Ronan, man of the match display. Talk me through the game. 2-1 win against Dundalk.
Yeah, listen, I think the scoreline tells you it was a tight game, and I think that's how the game developed. It's always tight. Two teams have a good rivalry, and listen, I'm very grateful to come out with the 3 points. Probably not our best performance. I think we're still getting going. So listen, it's great to get the win, up and running now, and roll on next week.
Yeah, obviously you have Dan Mandrell getting off the mark tonight. How important do you think it was for him to get off the mark? It's the second game in now of the season. How do you think?
Yeah, I think he was unlucky last week. He had a similar strike, keeper made a great save. We do see it every day in training, so it's evident to us that it was a great strike of a ball. We worked the position from. I think we worked early on in the game. We worked things quite well. Then we got a little bit sloppy, and I think the game itself was probably a little bit sloppy. I think the games between us in the past have maybe been of a higher quality. But listen, it's about results, and tonight was a big one for us.
Yeah, I think at the same time, you're both two new enough teams in terms of the lost players, and you're trying to replace them and stuff like that. I kind of had that feel to it, but at the same time, how important is it to kind of get a bit of a lead on them at the moment?
Yeah, listen, it's very early days. Listen, for us, it's just important to get the win. We don't want to be, as the season goes on, you don't want to be looking for that first win. But no, we've got it tonight, and we've moved on to next week. We've got a busy schedule, so it's all about preparing right this week in training, and that's it. We move on. Tonight's gone. We've got to prepare now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time, Ollie.
Yeah.
Okay, on to Longford 0, Sligo 1 at Bishopsgate, and Gary Buckley with a header from a corner. And Sligo another win, and they seem to be really enjoying life at the moment and really picking up from where they finished off last season.
Yeah, look, they've made a superb start to the season. I mean, they'll probably feel on the opening night they're a little bit unfortunate to only draw 1-1 with Dundalk. It's a game they certainly could have won. I thought probably a draw was a fair result. But following on from that, they went down to the RSC and they beat Waterford in a great game, played really well. And then away from home again, they go and beat Longford. And they're sitting joint top of the table on 7 points. So a superb start for Sligo. And that's going to give them great confidence and great heart, and look, they're already in Europe, and I'm sure they're going to be looking to say, well, maybe I'm being pessimistic here. I would be saying Sligo would be looking to say they're looking to challenge to get back into Europe next season. But is that all? I mean, Sligo have won a league in the last decade. Is it realistic to think they're joint top of the table now? I don't think they're going to be title challengers, but am I wrong, Sligo fans? Do you think you can challenge for the title this season, or is it just a little bit too soon? And maybe certainly Sligo are always a good bet in the cup, a great cup team. But top of the table, the other teams have to catch up with them. Massive game next week at home to Shamrock Rovers, or Shams as the Rovers from the West will call them. And I know there's absolutely no love lost there, and that'll be an absolutely cracking game. Certainly, if Sligo Rovers were to win that, I think we would have to seriously consider then we're talking about a title challenge.
Yeah, as well as that, if they do manage to, get a little bit of a result there against Shamrock Rovers, they've already got a game on them. Do you know what I mean? Shamrock Rovers would be playing catch up straight away there. So as you said, a lot of teams would be raising their game against Shamrock Rovers this season and maybe trying to impress Shamrock Rovers. Maybe Stephen Bradley or whatever to try and get a sign, to try and sign for Shamrock Rovers. So you just never know. And I think, Greg Bolger and these types of players who Liam Buckley's brought in, he's brought in good quality signings in there to add to what he already has. And then you've got the emergence of Johnny Kenny, and you've got the likes of John Mahon there and stuff like that. You've got Romeo Parks. You've got really good bones of a good team. Buckley there at centre half.
Gary Buckley's fine player, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be big headlines there in terms of how well he's doing from his performances as well. So, you're looking around at Sligo, and I know last season before the lockdown we were tipping them maybe to get relegated because they hadn't got a point, but they just seemed to have started slow, and then when they came back from the lockdown, they just went on a serious run, and fair play to them. So I think the game coming up, I can't really read too much into the Longford game. I didn't actually get the chance to see the actual full game, and but if you're looking at it from the start of the season, you probably fully expect Sligo to win that game anyway, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, but Longford had made a decent start as well, and they'd been unbeaten. They'd beaten Derry. So, although you would have expected Sligo to win it from the start of the season, they still had to go there and win it. And another good player Sligo have, you talked about Alan Manus being the best goalie in the league, and I'd agree with that. Sligo have a very good goalkeeper, Ned McGinty, as well. And it certainly will not be easy for Shamrock Rovers down in the showgrounds at the weekend. But it should be a cracking match.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Greg Bolger earlier today and got his thoughts on the match on Friday and Aaron's thoughts on the match ahead this week as well. So check it out here. So I'm joined on the line by Sligo Rovers midfielder Greg Bolger. Greg, how are you?
Yeah, all good. In training this morning. So just resting up now, yeah. But other than that, I'm all good.
Yeah, you must be buzzing, obviously, with the start of the season and another win the other day. We were trying to get you on last week, but so much happened between the international stuff and that, we just didn't get around to it. So I suppose just what we have you here, just kind of talk about, I suppose, your move from Shamrock Rovers to Sligo. How come you went there, and just how have you settled in at life at Sligo?
Yeah, no, obviously, look, my contract was up at Shamrock Rovers, and Liam was on to me, and he was basically telling me what he's trying to do, club, trying to get it better from last year, and trying to get up the table, and then obviously European football and stuff like that. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. And look, we started all right, haven't we? Obviously a big game now coming up next week, but no, I've enjoyed it, really enjoyed it, and so far so good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it, a couple of big wins there, especially like last week, the Dundalk game, and then you have you had Longford there just gone. So I suppose over the course of things, it's been quite a good start.
Yeah, it's been a good start. I thought we were very unlucky the first night to against Dundalk not to get all 3 points. But look, going into the game, first game, you don't know what way it's going to go, and we're really pleased. Then obviously picking up 2 wins on the road, the last 2 games was very good. And but look, it's only 3 games in, and a long season to go. But we started well, and we have to be pleased with that, you know.
Yeah, well, just kind of looking at your own self, like from your own point of view, you must be looking at this as a challenge to see what you can do with Sligo. Obviously, you went, Cork, you went there, you won stuff. You went to Shamrock Rovers, you went there and you won stuff. So you must be looking now at going to Sligo and trying to win things there. Like, you're not just happy to just settle, I imagine. Yeah,
look, well, there's only a few teams that can pick up silverware, over the season. So look, it's a new challenge for me. I'm really excited about it. Like I said, I've been very lucky over the years to get my hands on trophies. But obviously, I still think Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk are probably the flag bearers for the. I know, look, they've been in different starts for our teams, but I think they're the flag bearers and they're the standard we need to get to. And knowing Liam, he's ambitious and he wants to trying to get to that level. And like you can see with the players we brought in, he's trying to do that, So, but for myself personally, it's just have a good season. I missed a good chunk of it last year, so I'm like a new man. I'm ready to go again, get back out on the pitch and get games in and enjoy the Friday nights or Saturday nights as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, well, just lastly, I look around the squad at Sligo this season. I definitely think there's a very good squad there. I suppose you're going to be the one trying to drive the ambition there, but as well as that, obviously maintain a level head. You've mentioned 3 games into the season; it's still very early doors.
Yeah, no, look, there's a few lads like Gary Buckley, John Mann. I know he's only 21, but there's a lot of lads, a lot of characters in the team, as well as having a half decent squad, very good squad. And we're just challenging each other in training, and it's been very good. We're not carrying anyone. There's a big squad, like there's big enough squad there, but just every day in training, we're all challenging each other, and it's a case where, look, we see how we go with it, how it goes. But like I said, for a good start, we probably had a few in different performances, and I think a lot of factors come into that with pitches and stuff like that, and new players coming together and gelling. And obviously the start of a season is always the same. It's always frantic, like new lads coming into new groups, and that adrenaline is going at the start of the year, and teams wanting to do well and get off to a good start. So it's no different here. We obviously have a tough game next week, so yeah, it's one we're looking forward to, and hopefully we can have a good year.
Yeah, obviously you're coming up against some of your former teammates next week. How do you see that one going? Is it going to be, obviously Shamrock Rovers are the team to beat this season, but do you feel as though you can put a good challenge against them?
Yeah, no, I think we will. Look, I think Shamrock Rovers have been the best team in the country for the last two years. Myself personally, and they're the flag bearers for all the league. The way Stephen Bradley has his team playing, they're the best passing team probably since I've been in the league, and to be part of that, and now we're playing against them. For me, they're the best passing team in the league since I've been in the league. And what Stephen has done, he's got his players in, the right people he wants to play his way. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but one we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to the game. Should be a good game. I know obviously Longford was a different type of game. A lot of factors to why that game wasn't so great probably last week, but the whole thing was to come away with 3 points by hook or crook, and we did. But I think this will be a different type of game, and yeah, it's one that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm sure from a neutral point of view, it'll be a great game to watch. So I just want to wish you the best of luck next week, and maybe we'll get you on in the near future again.
Yeah, no bother. Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks.
Okay, over to Dalymount, and I don't know if you would call this one a shock result anymore. Maybe at the start of the season you would, but now I don't think you would. So Bohemians 0, St. Patrick's Athletic 1, and Ronan Coughlin with a goal in the 62nd minute. He started the season very well for St. Pat's, continuing on from his good rich vein of goal scoring form from last season with Sligo, and he's helping Pats do things where last season I suppose that probably would have been a 0-0 game if you're a Pats fan.
Yeah, Pat's big problem last season was scoring goals. I mean, they'd been very good at the back, but they were one of the lowest goal scorers in the league. And yeah, I know this was only 1-0, but it was a great goal actually from Ronan Coughlin. Corner out on the right, he rose more or less unmarked, and he powered a header. The keeper got a hand to it, but he powered a header into the net. And yeah, I would have considered it a bit of a shock, Paul. I didn't expect Pats to win that. Now, having said that, they've had a fantastic start. They're one of the 3 teams level on top of the table, and obviously a great point in Tala on the first night. And in fact, they could have won the game. They took the lead so late on, and then they needed the late winner last week. But it's been a great start for Pats and for Stephen O'Donnell. I'm sure he's delighted with the start. And yeah, I mean, just another team we're talking about that has won the league in the last decade. And maybe they could be title challengers. Am I being too... well, I don't think you can write anybody off at this stage, but a team I would have kind of expected, maybe hope to challenge for Europe, but maybe they can go a bit better than that. I don't know what Pats fans think about that. Would Europe be a superb achievement? I would think it would for Pats this season if they got one of the European spots. A little bit worrying for Bows. Bit of a disappointing start to lose at home like that. And it doesn't get any easier for them. They're up in Oriel Park this weekend. So I'm sure that Keith Long will want to turn around their form very quickly. And I think we talked already. I have concerns about Bows in that they had three fantastic attacking players last season in Chris Twardek, and Andrew Wright and Danny Grant, and they lost to three of them. Chris Twardek, admittedly, during the season, but to lose the other two at the end of the season, and they're very, very tough to replace that caliber of player.
Yeah, well, I think as well as that, there's still some young players there and some players brought in as well that are still trying to find time to gel in that team as well. So, yeah, as you said, it's still early days, and I think Keith Long has come out and said that, a little bit of perspective is needed and stuff like that. But I think Bows fans will start getting on his back if they don't start performing soon. I think after 5 games, then people will start to question him. Whereas I think after 3, I think you just kind of have to just wait sometimes, and then you get the win, and next minute you're going on a bit of a run, which I think will happen with Bows. But it might not happen against Dundalk. But then again, they may get a shock result and beat Dundalk up in Oriel Park. Who knows? So again, it's two sides. Dundalk are probably coming in on a little bit better form than them, but even still, I mean, you look at the games. Bows lost against Finn Harps, then they drew against Longford after being 2-0 up, and then they go and lose to Pats. So, you don't really associate Bows with conceding too many goals, and they have been conceding, which, is strange considering, but Dundalk haven't been firing on all cylinders, so you just never know what way that game could go,
Yeah, it's I would hope Keith Long will be given time. He's done an unbelievable job with Bows. I mean, if any manager in this league has overachieved, it's Keith Long, given the budget he has. So I hope he's given a hell of a lot more time than that, because and I think he will certainly turn it around. I mean, every year, Bows, I mentioned the quality of players they lost, but last season they had lost so many quality players going into the season, and still they turned it around, and I'm sure they will again. I hope and expect the Bows fans would be patient with Keith Long, because he is a superb manager, and he has done a superb job with them, and they are part-time competing with the full-time bigger budgets. I mean, I'm sure Dundalk's budget dwarfs that of Bohemians, as does Shamrock Rovers, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think fans would be very fickle if they were to turn on Keith Long now, considering, maybe he hasn't won stuff and stuff like that, but he has had them fighting up near the top end of the league and doing very well for themselves. They obviously got Europe last season, and they're there again, so he's brought that back, considering he's lost so many top players for Bows, before season starts, and then he has to replace them and stuff like that. And this has probably been the first season in which it hasn't clicked. Since then, since probably 2017, it probably hasn't clicked rightly for them, but I think it will. I think give it a couple more games, and I think he'll get them back, and they'll start winning games and stuff like that. I think once they get one victory, and then, say they go and beat Shamrock Rovers when they play them this season, I think everything will be forgotten about anyway. So I think that game's probably a game that they need to come up fast, and it's maybe something that their players will maybe need to go into it with no letting the occasion get the better of them, really, is more what I'm trying to say. But yeah, you'd want to hope that Bows players wouldn't want to let the occasion get the better of them, and they can try, get the victory over Shamrock Rovers, and I think everything would then be forgotten about, So I think, look, it is what it is, and I think they'll be back. Pats, I don't think it would be a pushover this season. I think it's a huge result for Pats psychologically. I think they'll feel now that they can probably mix it with anyone. And I think I think after they got the draw against Shamrock Rovers, they played quite well in that game. And then they beat Drogheda, and now they've beaten Bows. So they've played good teams and got, positive results. And Ger obviously caught up with Stephen O'Donnell and Ronan Coughlin after the game, so you can hear what they have to say here.
So first things first, a great victory.
Yeah, very happy with the win. Very happy with the win.
No wind this evening.
No wind. It was one of the few evenings with no wind. Bows, look, it's a very hard place to come, Dalymount Park. You know, you don't get anything easy here. And our record over the last couple of seasons not been good against Bows. So, you know, I thought it was thoroughly deserved to win. I thought it was a professional performance, limited them to a few chances. And then whatever good passages of play there was in the game, I felt we were the ones that played them. So you know, delighted with the win, delighted with the effort of the players, and delighted, I suppose, for them as well to get the 3 points, get rewarded for their effort, and they can go home happy tonight and then be ready to roll into training Monday morning.
Yeah, I was just chatting there before to your match winner from Snipe Rowan, and I suppose the biggest thing that's always been branded Pats the last couple of years is the lack of goals. So the fact you've had the new striker come in and he's hit the ground running early on must be really pleasing.
Yeah, great. He's got 2 and 3, obviously. You know, so good for any attacking players to get on the score sheet. So, you know, he probably isn't renowned for scoring headers from corners, but it was a great header, great delivery by Robbie, and a great header. And as you said, you know, good for any attacking player to get his name on the score sheet early with a new club.
There has been a lot made about the new signings, but looking, there is a good bit of players in that squad. They're here a long time, and Lee Desmond in particular is one. I know you don't want, it's a team effort and you won't want to single out each players, but he's really starting to show a lot of leadership. I thought, like, when both were kind of coming at you and search that equaliser, and he just defended everything brilliantly.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I don't like singling out players, but Lee, since the first day of pre-season we've come back, has been different class, his attitude, and you know, I've not come away from the training ground once thinking Lee wasn't at it today, you know, and that's where I suppose testament to him and his attitude, and you can see that with his displays. He was on the front foot tonight and looked a really polished defender. But look, I could go through the starting 11, and I could go through the boys that came on and say the same thing in regards being at it, playing to a tempo and being on the front foot, and just attitude wise and application wise being spot on. But it's 3 games into a season, it's a 36 game season. We have a 6-day turnaround now against Derry, so we need to be ready for that, because we know if we drop below certain standards we can be turned over. You know, there's an open field to the league a little bit, particularly now at the start, first few rounds of games. So you know, we have to apply ourselves and have the same work rate for every game. Yeah,
you touched on it there. It's 3 games in, so it still is a reminder how early it is, and you know how quickly things can turn in football. But when you think back to this time last year and the first 3 or 4 games before the league broke for the coronavirus, things were kind of a little bit up and down, where this year has been a little bit more consistent. Can you kind of figure out, even this early stage, what has that been down to?
No, it's obviously more time, and it's a different personnel, different squad, and just a core still there that were here from last year. So it's all about trying to improve. That was our aim, improve on last year. It was a half a season, but you know, we know that 6th place isn't good enough for St Patrick's Athletics. So we're all about trying to improve this season, and I feel we have, in regards personalities and in regards characters at the club, and that, and you know, in regards to the way they train and the way they want to improve. So you know, if you do that and you apply yourself right in training and that, you'll give yourself a good chance of getting results at the weekend.
Hey, you mentioned Derry, 6-day turnaround. Already a couple of injuries picked up this season. We've seen Shane last week, Keane Kiley as well. Any kind of update on them so far?
Yeah, Shane obviously popped the shoulder last week, so and Keane Kelly has a little bit of a foot injury. So we have a tight squad, small squad, but a good quality squad. I could have turned around there and brought anyone on tonight, and I wouldn't have weakened our team whatsoever. So it's the way I wanted to have it. I don't want any players feeling that like they're miles away or they're far out of the picture. I want them coming in training every morning saying, if I have a good training week, I have a right good chance of playing, and they do. You know, I could make 3 or 4 changes to a starting 11 and I wouldn't be weakened whatsoever. So that's the way I want it, and I'm happy with that.
Stephen, thanks for your time tonight and well done.
Thank you.
Tonight we're joined by St Pat's goal scoring hero Ronan Coughlin following our 1-0 victory against Bohemians in Dalymount Park tonight. Ronan become the first man since Dean Clark in just over 3 years ago to get the winner for Pats in this fixture. Must be just a nice feeling.
Yeah, no, obviously it's a good feeling, any win really. Came here today, we knew it would be a tough game. I know they hadn't had the best results recently, but it's always a hard ground to come to with fans or not fans. And look, we rode our luck. You know, they put a lot of pressure on near the end, but we're obviously happy to get the 3 points and we move on now.
Yeah, you got good purchase on your header despite James's best effort to keep it out for both, but the delivery in for Robbie was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic delivery. Robbie has that in the locker. I don't even think it was actually meant for me, but peeled away. Yeah, peeled away, and I got up before my man and just directed it goalwards, and lucky enough it went in, so pleased with that now, yeah.
Yeah, it's always fight when you hit the ground running, especially for a striker in a new club. 2 goals now in 3 games, so you must be even happy with your own personal performances so far.
Yeah, look, people these days just want to look at stats as well. So that is, in a stats-based view, it's obviously good to get 2 goals in the first 3 games. But just overall, the performances, stuff that I look at the most, things you can control. Like I can't really control how many goals I'm going to score, just be in the right positions. And luckily enough today I was, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and the character of yourself and the rest of your teammates kind of shown, because it wasn't really kind of prettiest game, that many kind of clear-cut chances, but you just kind of really managed them last 25 minutes or so. Your defence in particular was very, very strong, with just an all-around brilliant kind of team display, kind of everyone pushing together.
Yeah, like you're saying, the way we held out at the end, we were disappointed after the first game against Shams not to be able to hold out the game after going, especially after scoring very late on and not being able to see it out. So that was definitely something that had we definitely couldn't really work on it, but definitely something that we spoke about as a group and something that we want to improve is be able to hold out games. And look, we've done that today. I don't know what time I scored at, but we had a long time and they put a lot of pressure on, like I said, to give them credit. And look, we kept the clean sheet, and that was actually the most important thing.
Yeah, 62nd minute that goal came in, and as I said, you held out very well for the last half an hour or so. Games keep coming, good start. Up now next week at home again against Derry.
Yeah.
They haven't had the best of kind of starts, but as you touched on there with Bowes, like coming into this game, you didn't have the best of starts, but you were still very alert, and presumably the same mindset going into next Friday's match.
Yeah, look, everyone knows every league game is tough, and there's not much between any of the teams. You saw that last year, probably Shams, who obviously went unbeaten. Everyone else was fighting at scraps till the last day. You've seen that with Finn Harps, the league this year. Like Longford have done well. Even Drogheda last week, I know they won their first game, and they gave us a tough game. People probably didn't expect that. So look, we just keep going on now. We have a bit of a momentum, and we'll go straight into the Derry game with high confidence and do the same.
Ronan, thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
No matter. Cheers, man.
Right, up to Head in the Game Park, and it was Drogheda against Finn Harps, which finished 1-1. Carlo Sullivan with a goal, a nice, I would say, half volley, rocketed into the Drogheda goal, and then Mark Doyle with a goal in the 62nd minute to equalise for Drogheda. I'd say both teams were happy enough with the draw, but Gary, what were your thoughts, I suppose, when you saw this result?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking back at the start of the season, you're thinking Drogheda v Finn Harps, and it's a relegation battle. And instead, you're looking at teams on the initially at the top of the league, and I don't know. It's Finn Harps. They're still top, even if it is on only, albeit on alphabetical order. I think they're top at the moment. But yeah, what do you say? It's a decent point probably for both teams. And realistically, I think maybe Finn Harps will be looking, this is the season they can maybe establish themselves a little bit in the Premier League without having to look over their shoulder too much. But time will tell on that. But I think it's a game both teams will be happy with the result. The league goal for Finn Harps was a superb finish from Carlo Sullivan, just at the edge of the D, and he put a lovely volley, half volley, as you said, low into the bottom corner. And you're just wondering at that stage, they go 1-up in the second half away from home. Can they hang on and get all 3 points and keep their 100% record going? But a great equaliser from Drogheda, and actually the person who won't get the credit even with an assist is Ronan Murray, but it was an absolutely beautiful chip to set up James Brown, who crossed it, and Mark Doyle couldn't miss, really. It was an open goal. So I only saw the highlights. Probably a fair result, I think, probably. Maybe Finn Harps to be a little bit disappointed having gone ahead in the second half that they couldn't hang on and get the win. But yeah, it's still a strange league table.
It really is, and I think, Finn Harps fans are obviously all joking online that they're going on a European adventure now. I think it's funny, and it's obviously great for the fans that they're enjoying life right now. I think they're just complaining about the fact that the pubs aren't open and they're top of the league, because it obviously doesn't happen too often, But I think I'm really happy for Finn Harps now, and as you said there, this is an opportunity for them to establish themselves. It's the first time they could probably get a settled team together and keep the bones of last season's squad together, because they finished the season quite well. So I think for Finn Harps, they'll just be looking to keep building week on week, and then taking it game by game. I don't think they're looking too far ahead, and rightly so. And I think with Drogheda as well, I think Drogheda actually have started quite well. I think that's a result that'll probably be a good point for them further down the season. I think Drogheda have some really good players there, and I think you'll start seeing as the season goes on, I think you'll start seeing the best of them, and I think they're going to be a good side this year.
They will. I think they'll still be involved close enough to the relegation battle, but they have signed some good players. I mentioned Ronan Murray. They've also got Dane Massey. They signed Darragh Markey from Pats. So I think Drogheda will probably be all right in the end, and it's a tough place to go and get a result. The other massive news this week for Finn Harps, even probably more important than the result, was the grant of almost $4 million from the government to redevelop their new stadium. And that's badly needed. I think anytime I go to Finn Park, if you look across from the stand side, you can see the building site that is the stand for their new ground, and it's been like that, I think, for over a decade. And I really hope that this now gets their new stadium kick-started and they can move to the new stadium in the next year or two. And that was really great news for Finn Harps and great news for Irish football in general. And so that was a massive boost this week. And it's all good news coming out of Finn Harps at the moment. And long may it continue, because it's I know I've said too much with my Limerick connections. We've got some very bad memories of going to Finn Park. But all bias aside, they're a fantastic club. And I really do wish them all the best. And they've got a fantastic management team, great volunteers in the area as well, a great club. And best of luck to Harps, because you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you've said there. And it's a very community type club, and that's what you love to see. And seeing them now kind of getting the rewards really of working so hard behind the scenes. Even you look at after COVID there, they worked so hard behind the scenes to raise funds, even just to, I think it was to get new dressing rooms as well. So to see this happening for them, it's great. And it's obviously great for Donegal as well,
Yeah, it is. And it's probably an outpost in League of Ireland football since they came in 1969. It's probably so far from us here in Dublin, and it's so far from everywhere, really. But they're still keeping football alive, and boy, they can still pick up players and still churn out the results on a budget that's significantly lower than a lot of teams in the Premier Division.
Yeah, and as far as Drogheda are concerned as well, I'm sure that they'll be happy with the point, because I'm sure that they'll be targeting games like this as games that they cannot lose. And our man Phil Hines caught up with both Tim Clancy and Ollie Horgan, so you can hear what they had to say here.
Tim, 1-1 draw, thoughts on the game?
Listen, we're happy to get a point. We were in a similar position last week. We went 1-0 down against Pats, and they put a lot of pressure on us, and they ended up getting a goal and left us very, very deflated after the game. And listen, we've come away with a point here today, which isn't a bad result considering Finn Harps started the season on fire with a home win against Bows and then an away win against Dundalk, so we knew it was going to be very difficult. I thought we'd done pretty well during the whole game. We dealt with a lot of their attacking play, and we got beaten by a really tremendous strike from the edge of the box. Great volley right into the bottom corner. And but we reacted really well, and that was a good thing that we ended up getting a goal back nearly straight away from really good play involving 3 or 4 players. And then near the end of the game we were pushing quite a lot to try and get a winner, and maybe another day we might have a ball dropped for us and we might have had a little goal, but now we're happy with the point. It's a positive start for the season, and we're only a couple of minutes away from being unbeaten in the first 3 games, which would have been a very, very good return, and 4 points out of 9 ain't bad.
After a disappointing loss to St. Pat's conceding in the last minute, how important was it to bounce back today?
Yeah, listen, that's it. We didn't want to prolong a losing streak, and obviously we knew Finn Harps coming today are well set up, they're well organised with Ollie, and they're well drilled, and it was going to be a very difficult game. And having gone behind, we know how good they are holding on to a lead, that we're really, really pleased now to bounce back and get at least a point. And again, the manner in which we equalised was good. It was a well worked goal, and Doyle's got off the mark for the season as well, so yeah, really pleased.
Obviously coming into the game, Adam Foley, Finn Harps, top scorer. How impressed were you with the defence, keeping him quiet all game?
Yeah, listen, we done our homework on all their players, to be honest, and we've seen that he doesn't give the back forward a second, doesn't give the keeper a second as well, which he nearly nicked one off Dave in the first half. But yeah, listen, he was obviously on fire in the first two games, and we done well to keep them quiet today. But again, listen, they still got a good strike away, got a good goal, and they restricted us to very little chances. It's something that we have to really work on.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No matter.
Ollie, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, look, we didn't do enough to win the game. Aside from the fact that we went 1-0 up, we're probably disappointed. The fact that we scored first, that's really the only reason. Look, we could have got more, and most certainly at the end of the game, the last 20 minutes, we could have got less. And I think there was only one team from the equaliser to the end that looked like winning it, and that wasn't us.
7 points from 9. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, look, yeah, of course you're happy with that, but like with a massive game against Waterford next weekend, they've improved week in, week out. The two games we watched the footage, and obviously with the result tonight, they've kicked on even further. We're just hoping that they won't kick on even more come next weekend. But it doesn't matter, Philip. Obviously, where you are after 3 games, it's where you are after another 33 games when you played 36, and if we can avoid the bottom 2 positions after 36 games, that's really all that matters.
Towards the back end of last season, you picked up some great form. How important was it for you to start that same way this season?
Yeah, it's we certainly didn't have a great pre-season, certainly results or performance-wise, but we've got a couple of wins under our belt. They could have gone anyway. We could have lost the 2 of them. We could have lost tonight and we're sitting with no points. But I don't think we'd be getting too despondent. We went 13 games a couple of years ago without getting a win. And we still survived, albeit by the skin of our teeth in extra time against the lads Kevin and Drogheda. It's the only thing with them. I don't know where this table is going to end up at the moment. Obviously we'd love it to stay the way it is, but we're quite realistic that it'll change. It's just can we stay off the bottom is where we're at the moment.
From throw-ins, you seem to go for almost a long throw-in approach, trying to get the ball into the box. Is that something you tried working on? Obviously scoring the goal from it as well.
Yeah, look, sometimes it works for you. Sometimes they counter attack and catch you. It's a gamble. It's not the biggest of pitches here, so we pick and choose possibly when we can do it or what players are on the pitch. Look, it fell for us tonight. There are other days that the counter attack can do you at the other end, Philip. So it's kind of a bit of a gamble, but look, we'll take it, and we've moved on already, really.
Perfect.
Okay, and the last game of the Premier Division games up at the Brandywell, and it finished Derry 1, Waterford 2. I suppose this one for me was a massive shock because, you're thinking Derry are going to be a side that are going to be pushing on, and they haven't started great at all. And then you're thinking about Waterford. A lot of people are tipping them, even their own fans, as being relegation favourites. So this was a shock for me. Obviously Shane Griffin with a great strike, the free kick, just to open the scoring, and then McJannet gets the equaliser, and then Oscar Brennan gets the winning goal in the 51st minute for Waterford. So what were your thoughts when you saw it anyway?
That was a big shock for me as well, Paul. I was expecting Derry to be a lot better this season. I mean, they made a disastrous start losing in Longford, and a bit unlucky then to have the Shamrock Rovers game called off because of the international call-up. And this will be a hugely disappointing blow for Derry. I know Declan Devine, he was saying he felt they had most of the possession, most of the chances, but they're they gave away. They just looked too open at the back, and too many mistakes. It was a great free kick from Shane Griffin, but even they give away a penalty. Then I don't think Garside needed to bring him down. He was going away from goal. And then even Nathan Garside saves the penalty, and Oscar Brennan puts in the rebound. So a bit of bad luck there. The other bit of bad luck I thought Derry had was they went in at half-time 1-1. And early in the second half, Will Fitzgerald had a great chance with a header, and he just couldn't score. And Waterford more or less go down the other end and get the penalty and go 2-1 up and win the game. So they may bemoan their luck a little bit, but it's a very, very disappointing start for Derry. I would have expected them to be up the other end of the table. But a massive win for Waterford, having made a bad start to the league, having lost in Drogheda, lost at home to Sligo. They badly needed something. And what a result to go up to the Brandywell and come away with all 3 points.
Yeah, I'm obviously delighted for Kevin Sheedy because I want to see him do well. and I think it's a massive result for Waterford because, you know, they're going to need as many points as possible this season just because they have a very inexperienced side. I know they've got Daryl Murphy and Oscar Brennan and stuff like that, but a large chunk of their team were taken away last season, and now they're kind of just putting players together. I hope it works out for them, and I hope they stay up. I think they'll be aiming to tag as many points as possible up to the mid-season break, and then maybe look to add in some maybe experienced players then to help, you know, keep them up. Not like they've done okay. They obviously got a massive result here, but I just mean that over the course of the season they're going to need to keep picking up points like this, and if they can and last to that halfway point and then add in players, then they could maybe look to, you know, build upon that and have that little platform to build on, because Kevin Sheedy has shown that he can bring in players, good players from England and stuff like that, but a lot of them are inexperienced at the moment. And if you speak to any player that comes over here that has to play in this league, they do find it difficult. Even Jack Byrne said, you know, it's a difficult league to come over and play in and really shine straight away. So I think it's a really good result for Waterford. It'll give them confidence going forward. And I just think for Derry's sake, I don't know what's wrong with them, because there's times where I've watched Derry last season and the season before where they can be great, and then there's games where I see them and they just don't turn up. And I think that inconsistency has been going on for a few seasons now, and they don't seem to be able to get it right. I don't know what it is. I don't watch enough of them as well to turn around and pinpoint what the problem is. I would love for a Derry fan maybe to let us know in the comments what they think. But they just, I don't know. I've seen signs, people calling for Declan Devine to be sacked already, but I think it's still a bit soon. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a bit soon, but he was under a little bit of pressure last season, so I've no doubt he is under a lot of pressure. And yeah, I can't put my finger on what the problem is either, Paul, but they are going to need to turn around, and it doesn't get easy for them. I mean, their next game, they're coming down here to Dublin to play St. Pat's and Inchicore, and Pats are riding high, and that's a really tough game. And but Derry have a lot of quality players, and they could easily turn it around very quickly. From the Waterford perspective, the one advantage they have is I'm sure Kevin Sheedy and Mike Newell have some great contacts in England, and they will be able to get some players in the mid-season break, as you say, when the transfer window opens up. Another big game for them this weekend. They're on the road, actually, a bit tough. Another long journey. They're up in Ballybuffet at the weekend, and that's a massive match now. You would think if Finn Harps were to win that, they'd go on to 10 points and they'd be, well, they would they even be looking at the relegation places then? Whereas if Waterford were to go up to Ballybuffet and get a win, they'd only be a point behind Finn Harps. So, and then obviously comfortable in mid-table as well. So, another massive game this weekend, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be a really telling game, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how, because now that Waterford have got the first win, they have that little bit of momentum, you know, and obviously Finn Harps are flying high right now. It's just been a bit of a crazy start to the season, but you love to see it because it makes it entertaining.
Yeah. And if you remember last season, if Waterford went to Finn Park on the last day of the season and they needed a win to get into Europe, and they couldn't manage it, and well, Harps got the win to even avoid the relegation playoff at that stage. So I'm sure there'll be. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that, but I'm sure Waterford will be gunning for revenge.
Yeah, we just want to take a quick break to speak about our sponsors for this video and podcast, Team FeePay. As you can see in the image there, some of the clubs that Team FeePay has acquired, Shamrock Rovers being the main one so far. Team FeePay is an easy to use online payment platform that covers management and administration, finance, club development, communication, governance and COVID track and trace. Club administrators save hours of time with Team FeePay, save time on administration and finance. You can quickly confirm, decline and record attendance at club sessions and events. With a new database created, parents and players register with the system, which in turn creates and builds a player database for the club. Team groups can be easily set up for for easy access to data. Real-time transaction updates. Team FeedPay keeps club administrators or team managers updated on processed payments, but also flags up incomplete transactions and automatically emails the payee to give notice of a future attempt. Team FeedPay already works with over 1,000 leagues, clubs and academies and are growing all the time. Team FeedPay is proud to be helping clubs across multiple sports. Team FeedPay is free to use, it's free to install by all of their members. There are no hidden fees, there is no sign-up fee, no annual fee and no monthly membership fee. The processing fee. Team FeedPay charge a very modest fee for any financial transaction that they process, similar to the bank or other credit card processor fees. Book your Zoom demo today at teamfeedpay.com or call on +353 1526 7499. Okay, we're on to the first division games now, and the first one up, I suppose, was the big game of the weekend in terms of high scoring goals, and it was 3-3 between Shells and Bray. Goals coming from a double from Georgie Poynton and Ryan Brennan for Shells, and then Brandon Kavanagh and Graydon. Brandon Kavanagh with 2 goals, and probably his second goal was the pick of the bunch. And then at one point it was 2-1 to Shells, and then at another point it was 3-2 to Bray. So it was a very highly contested game. I was so shocked. I was at the Shamrock Rovers and the Dock game, and I was getting alerts on my phone about the game, and I couldn't believe it. And yeah, it was a bit of a crazy game. Shells obviously still unbeaten, 2 draws for the first 2 games against 2 sides that are probably going to be thereabouts come the end of the season. But from your own perspective, from a neutral perspective, I suppose, this game, was it a shock result for you, or how were you fixed, or do you think Shells should be dominating sides like this?
I wouldn't say it was a shock, Paul. I think it was kind of a mild surprise. I mean, Bray, another team, were talking about going to the last day of the season. I mean, Bray were top of the first division and were heading for the Premier Division until the end of the season last season, and Galway went to the Carlisle grounds and beat them, but in Galway's case, to get into the playoffs, and then Galway went back and beat them again a week later. So you'd still expect Bray to be there or thereabouts in the promotion race. Now, having said that, I think with I had tipped Shelbourne and Galway to be the top 2 this season in the first division. They look to have the 2 strongest squads. So I suppose I probably would have just about expected Shells to win the game, but it was always going to be a tough game, and Bray won't be far away from the promotion shake-up. But I certainly wouldn't have predicted 3-3. Both teams have been involved in 0-0s in the opening night. So seemed to be a difficulty in scoring, but having been very solid at the back, Shells played with 10 men down in Galway for a long time and could even have won that game, but had got a very impressive scoreless draw in Eamon DC Park. And then, well, to score 3 is great, but also to concede 3 would probably be a bit worrying for Ian Morris. But it sounds like quite an amazing game. And but I would expect Bray will be the happier of the 2 with the point, even though there were 3-2 up late on.
Yeah, I think Brandon Kavanagh is going to be a serious player this season. I think a lot of teams will do well to keep him quiet. As seen, like, he probably played arguably the best team in Shells. I'm sitting here with the Shells top on me. You know, that's me saying that. You could tell me Galway are the strongest, or Cork, or Bray. But I do think that Brandon Kavanagh is going to be a star this season, and I think you're really going to see the start of a really good career in him. We've obviously watched him at underage level of Ireland, and we know that he has good quality about him. But I don't think he's got a chance really to show that. I mean, he's been on the fringes of the Shamrock Rovers first team, and he's come in, he's done okay. But I think this season is his time to shine, and then if he does well this season, I'd imagine he will get drafted into the Shamrock Rovers first team as well. I do believe other clubs over in England have been keeping an eye on him too. So I do think that this is just a start for Brandon. But from Shells' point of view, George Poynton seems to be the go-to man for Shells at the minute. You know, last season he played largely at right back, and I just thought he was still very good. He was getting a lot of assists. His dead ball deliveries and penalties are usually quite good. I know he missed the penalty against Bows that people often talk about, but his penalty against Bray wasn't the best either, but he was still able to laugh about it because he had just enough pace on it. But I think he's going to be a very important player for Shells this season. And again, probably a player who has never got a chance to show his true potential. And I think he's found a club where he feels loved and the fans really, really like him and get behind him. And I think he's needed that probably in recent clubs he's been at, and I think he's starting to get that now at Chelsea.
Yeah, it's great for him to score 2 goals so early in the season, because he was a player. I mean, he first came to my attention in Dundalk, and he was considered a really hot prospect. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and then he moved to Pats, wasn't it? But I think it's finally looks like it's going to come good for him at Chelsea. Brandon Kavanagh looks a class player. He's of course only on loan at Bray, and he will be going back to Shamrock Rovers. And but a superb signing for Bray to have for this season. And I have no doubt he'll either be going back competing for the first team place in Shamrock Rovers, if not, as you say, heading across the water to one of the bigger clubs in England. But what a player for Bray to have this season.
Yeah, well, our man Ger Brown, he caught up with both Brandon Kavanagh and Georgie Poynton, and you can hear it here.
Brandon, I suppose from my own point of view, just being neutral and working on the game, it was just a thrill to watch. For someone who was involved in the thick of it and involved in the action, what was it like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was a bit hectic at times. The ball was up in the air and it was a bit crazy, but we got into it then. First 15, 20 minutes it took us, and we just got going, and we gave the goal away early, and then we got our chance. We got back into it.
2 goals for yourself. Let's just get straight to it. The second goal. When you get the pass from Richie, what are you initially thinking at first?
Just touch and hit it. It's just what I've been doing the last few weeks, and it's like just space there in front of me. Once I take my first touch, I see the keeper's in the middle of the goal, and I just let fly. And luckily I went in the top corner.
Would you kind of naturally back yourself and think you'd be well able to find a target and hit a good strike like that normally from that distance?
Yeah, that's what I sort of do. Like in training and stuff, that's what we work on, all of us. And even after training, we're doing that and just touch and hit outside the box.
So despite your goal in the first half, your first effort, you still went into break trading 2-1 at half time, but then courtesy of your second strike, 10 minutes in the second half, you were leading. What did Gary kind of say to you at half time, or was there much kind of need to be said? Because even in the first half, you got the sense that this was an even enough game and there was going to be more goals and it could go either way.
Yeah, no, at half time, I think we all knew ourselves that we were still in it, and we were going to create chances, and you could just feel it from all of us. We had that little bit of buzz about us, and you see in the second half there, like the goals we scored, the chances we created, probably should have won the game.
Overall, in general, like you're losing at half time, but then you find yourselves 3-2 in front, heading the dying stage of the game. Shell's just down from the Premier Division, away from home. What is kind of the overall kind of feeling? Is it kind of like it's still early days, just build the points up, but you kind of feel this was a chance to make a statement against one of your fellow promotion rivals, I suppose?
I think for us, just looking at the second half, I think it's probably 2 points dropped. But then again, you're coming to these sort of grounds and you're playing against a top side, so you're probably lucky to then take the point, because you see at the last 5 minutes they put on a bit of pressure and you just got home with the point, you take it.
Yeah, and the tough games keep coming. Next week now you make the short trip up the M11 to face UCD, a team you know well from playing last year. They don't play their second game till tomorrow night, so it does give you a small bit of advantage. You can sit down, it's lockdown, you probably have nothing else to do, sit down and watch the game tomorrow night and get a good idea of what to expect for next weekend.
Yeah, well, as you said, we're just all focused now on next week, getting the 3 points and just looking forward to that.
Have you checked your phone much since you came in?
No, I haven't, not yet.
Your phone will be lit up tonight anyway.
Yeah,
thanks for your time, Brandon.
No problem.
George, talk about experience on both sides of football. 0-0 draw last week and a 6-goal thriller tonight.
Yeah, 2 different games, I think. I think we've done well to get a point out of the game last week. First half, I thought we were brilliant again this week, and went in 2-1 up at half time. Come out. I don't think we came out for the second half for 20-25 minutes. We couldn't get a grip of the game, and for us as players, we have to take responsibility for that. I give them two soft goals in the second half. Allows them to take the lead, takes the onus on us, and look, I think we showed good character to get back into the game.
I was just chatting to Brandon there from Bray, and there was still a good sense of regret from their point of view. Would there still be the kind of same feeling? It was such a weird game, but even when you got back to 3-3, you still felt there was a chance there could be a winner in this one.
Yeah, I think it was end to end a little bit, wasn't it? I think both teams wanted to win the game. There's no denying that. I think we give them 3 soft goals. They can be disappointed they didn't win the game, but we can also be disappointed in the goals we've give them. We need to show them better resilience and not give them chances away. But on the context of what was said in another, I'm not too sure now if you can assess that as a good point. That's for later on down the road. But ultimately, we haven't lost a game, and we've played Galway and Bray in the last 2 weeks that are going to be around us, you know. So I think, you know, they're good 2 points if I'm to look at it now.
Yeah, even like looking at some of tonight's results as well, like with Athlone beating Galway already, like there's no one kind of really running away with it, so it is going to be definitely a marathon, not a sprint. Just from your own point of view, the 2 goals tonight, you probably know yourself, you don't need me to tell you, you were probably a little bit fortunate with the penalty, but you must be very, very impressed with your first finish.
Yeah, my heart was in my mouth a little bit for the penalty. You know, unfortunately it went in. I think the pace just puts it in, the pace that I put on it. I haven't struck the ball cleanly, but the first goal, look, it's a good goal. But I'm just disappointed we haven't won the game, you know.
Yeah, you're back at home now again next week. Wexford, they were beaten tonight by Treaty United. But like I remember being here a game a couple of years ago against them. It was another high-scoring game. So you know, like anything is possible in this division, and it won't be a certainty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably one of the best first divisions it's been in years. You know, you see that with the quality, as you say, Athlone beating Galway tonight. We have to respect Wexford. You know, they pose a different threat to what Bray and what Galway have put in front of us. You know, as I said, we need to earn the right to play against them. You know, and then I think with the quality we'll create chances, but we just need to eradicate silly errors on our own behalf, and you know, go and punish them at the other end.
Right, on to Stradbrook and Cabinteely, 1-0 win over Cork City, and I'm sure Aaron Howie and the boys will not be happy with this victory, but I'm sure the lads over in Cabo are absolutely delighted. It was an own goal, but some were claiming that Keith Dalton could have claimed it, but I think he fairly much admitted after the match that it was an own goal by Heaven, it says. But a really big win for Cabinteely, and you know, again, another shock, I would say. I actually expected Cork to win that game, but overall I think Cabo started the league well, and they'll be delighted with that result. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Yeah, I was surprised as well, and I suppose Cabo did incredibly well last season, and probably a little bit unfortunate to miss out on the playoffs, having led the division for a long time. And I suppose I didn't expect them to do as well this season or to challenge, but somehow, well, so far they've certainly proved me wrong. I mean, they're top of the table at the moment, and yeah, it was a great win for them over Cork. Big blow for Cork City. They'd started the season well with a good win in the derby match with Cove, but they certainly would have been expecting to pick up 3 points. And I suppose I'm looking at the Cork City side, and I don't think there's enough quality there to challenge the likes of Galway and Shells, but they're still currently ahead of them at the table, so who knows how things are going to work out. But they won't be happy with that result.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think with Cabo, this could be a season where they could shock people, you know, because a lot of people are talking about other teams and they just seem to be forgetting about Cabo. And Cabo in recent seasons when they played Shells, they've had Shells' number a few times as well. So that would be an interesting one when they come up against some of the bigger teams. I think Cabo can turn over bigger teams in this league, and I think they're a good side, and I think they'll be hard to beat, especially at home. But our man Ross Finden was at the game. He spoke with Pat Devlin and he spoke with Keith Dalton, and you can hear what they both had to say here.
Pat Devlin, coach of Cabinteely, congratulations on the win.
Thank you, yeah, good win.
So one thing I noticed was Cork had upwards of 15 corners. How did you go about defending them?
Well, you know, we obviously do our homework, and we got some players who are very good in the air as well. Now, unfortunately, we've lost 2 of our players prior to the game today, Andy O'Brien and Owen Massey. So we had to make 2 changes from our original lineup from last week. So, you know, we work hard on the training ground. I don't do too much of that. I have to be quite honest. I've got Eddie Gormley and Collie O'Neill, who are fantastic, and Paul Heffernan. So, you know, we're there all week doing lots of different work, and we prepared quite well. And that's, you know, giving away a corner is not really a big issue to us, because if it happens, we know we can compete and deal with it, and that's what we did.
And whenever deploying a back 3, does it help that you have the extra centre back who's good in the air?
Well, you know, we started off with a back 3, but we ended up with a 4. It wasn't our intention, but we were being a little bit overrun earlier on in the first half, and we went back to a back 4. Back 4 was just to sort of say, well, look, let's get a bit of stability, get our passing a bit better, and it worked, and I was very, very happy with it. Playing with a back 3 is obviously what we would like to do, but again, as I said, our main centre half got injured tonight, and we've got 5 other defenders who are also injured. So I was very happy with the performance of the back 3, back 4 tonight. They've done really well.
And at what point do you decide to hold out for the win?
I don't think you ever actually hold out for a win. You hope you get a win. You don't actually hold out for it, because I think it's a real mistake if you do that. Now, tonight, Adam brought up a very good save. Cork were certainly worth a goal, but I was very proud of our lads tonight. We worked hard under unusual circumstances. We lost a player just before the game, and we had to make several little changes. But overall, very pleased with their work, their hunger, their desire, and the little bit of skill they showed in the second half. We got a lot better, and I think we'll only get better as we go forward.
So 2 wins from 2, first team to do it. What does that say to the rest of the league?
We made a mistake last year of being top for a very long time, and as far as we're concerned, there's no message going out. We're just going to get on with it this year. We're not going to be ambitious about winning leagues or anything like that. We'll see where we are. You don't win a league after 2 games, as we proved last year, so we certainly would have learned from that, and our experience is just to get on and play and do our best, and let's see how the results go. But it is a fantastic start for us, and it's good because we've had several changes, and it's been difficult for a small club like ours to make ends meet, and we're thrilled that we did that, and we're thrilled that it's it's got us at the top of the league, even if it's only for a short time or it's a long time. It doesn't matter. Not now.
It's a great performance. Congratulations on the 3 points.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And congratulations on the 3 points.
Cheers, thanks very much, man.
So a big part of that match seemed to be defending corners really well. I counted at least 10 Cork City corners. How did you manage that?
We kind of set up on Wednesday just defending set pieces, and we done a lot of work on it, and obviously the boys has to clear the ball, and they done every time. They didn't let runners off them, and they done very well, so fair play to the boys.
And obviously you're using a back 3 with yourself and Dean Casey along the wings, and you seem to always be an option.
Yeah, always an option. It's just the pre-season was very tough this year, so we're all hard working young lads, so me and Dean give a lot of space out wide, so we're just fit and just keep getting up and down, which gives the boys an angle out.
And you seem to come out of the second half with a lot more intensity. What happened at half time?
Well, we kind of said at half time, they were knocking the ball around very well, but they weren't really hurting us. So we said, look, why not have a go? We haven't really had a go in the first half, so we said, why not press them tighter and try get on the ball a little bit more? And we did, and happily enough, we got the goal.
And of course, you scored it. Talk us through it.
I don't know if it's going to be given to me now, but yeah, a bit of luck is what we needed, and just keep moving on game from game, and hopefully we can pick up points everywhere.
And whenever you're up 1-0, how do you decide to drop back and hold out for the 3 points?
It's kind of just football. When you go 1 or 2 up, you kind of sit back and just defend what you have, and hopefully you get the 3 points. And the boys at the back done very well, and Adam pulled off a super save at the end, which kept us in it, which was what we need, like a bit of luck.
Right, well Keith, congratulations on the 3 points, well done.
Cheers, thanks very much, man. Thank you.
So on to the Markets Field, the Treaty United with a 1-0 win over Wexford, and I'll let you talk me through this one, Gary, because I know you were watching.
Yeah, Paul, all bias aside, well, maybe not bias aside, obviously as a Limerick man, it was absolutely amazing and fantastic to have senior football back in the city, having had no team last season for the first time since 1937. There was no club from the city in the league. So a historic first home game for Treaty United, and a historic first win as well. Probably, even leaving my bias aside a little bit, probably a little bit fortunate to win the game, given that Wexford will probably feel they had a lot of the chances, a lot of the possession. But Tommy Barrett, there's one thing he certainly has done. He's got 2 good goalkeepers, and he's really got a very well-organised defence. And went to the Carlisle grounds and a really battling draw against Bray on week 1, and played the last half an hour with 10 men when Sean McSweeney was sent off, and again had to play the last half an hour against Wexford with 10 men when Clyde O'Connell got a second yellow card, and still defended very well. And when needs be, the reserve goalkeeper, I suppose you'd call Shane Cusack, having taken over from Ty Grind, who had picked up a knock and Bray, that Shane Cusack did incredibly well and made a couple of good saves and dealt confidently with everything. So it was probably seen more of a season of transition for Treaty. I certainly didn't expect Treaty to challenge for promotion. And to be honest, I still probably don't expect them to do. I think it's just too much to ask. It was a squad assembled together at a couple of days' notice. But the initial signs are certainly very positive that Tommy Barrett's done an incredible job with them. It's got them very well organised. They're going to be really tough to beat, tough to score against. And once you're solid at the back and you've got a good goalkeeper, and if you're not going to give away goals too easily, then you're always going to be in games, and you've always got a chance of picking up something. So I think this season might come a little bit too early for Treaty, but I think there's definitely green shoots there. And well, who knows? I mean, 4 points from 2 games, can't argue with that. Wexford will probably be very disappointed. Jack Doherty was superb for them. Ran the show, probably went off. I presume he went off with an injury late on because it was hardly tactical. And they've a tricky little left winger in Paul Fox as well, who's going to cause problems for teams. So it's still early days, but a very heartening result for Treaty.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to kind of keep up to track with games. I know we've always said it'd be good if they scattered the games so you can watch more, but just obviously the way things are this week, it was just so hard to catch up with all the games. But like, that's why it's so handy having people like yourself and all of our other people who are at games and stuff like that to either get the thoughts of people or either be at games, you know. So just the final 2 games just to speak about: Athlone 3, Galway 1. You know, Boylan with an own goal that gave Athlone the lead, and then Meany got 2 others, and then Warwaroo scored for Galway a consolation goal in the 77th minute, and then Cove lost 4-0 to UCD away. Kerrigan got 2, then Keeney and Whelan with the goals there for UCD. Obviously, that Galway game is a huge shock, the Athlone win. I was very shocked when I saw the result. I think I was obviously at Tala, and even Steve Bradley was shocked by the result there. Do you know what I mean? So there was a lot of people shocked by the result of the Galway game, because a lot of people are expecting, as we said, Galway to be right up there at the end of the season, and this would have been a huge blow for them in their, I suppose, title hopes.
Yeah, this for me was the shock of the weekend. I mean, if you think back to last season, Galway had made a terrible start, and they brought John Caulfield in midway through the season, and the view was to build. It was too late for them to even challenge for the playoffs. The view was to build for next season. Instead, they went on an incredible run. And John Caulfield, I mean, they went on an incredible winning run, and somehow he got them into the playoffs, and then went to the Carlisle grounds and shocked Bray. And then I think I was shocked. I expected them then to go on and possibly win the playoffs. I was shocked they lost to Longford. But they made some great signings in the off season, and I thought strong contenders. It was going to be between Galway and probably a Shells team that were probably unfortunate to get relegated. I thought it was going to be between Galway and Shells to win the title this season, and it may well still work out like that. But it's been a very disappointing start for Galway, in that the big game at home to Shells, they drew 0-0. They were up against 10 men for the whole second half, and it's not that they didn't even get the win. They didn't even do enough to win. And I watched that game on LOI TV. And if anything, Shells could have won that game. And then, okay, you see Galway going to Athlone, and you think they should be able to do enough to win this. And they were 3-0 down in the first half, and they were absolutely battered. And I'm frankly shocked at this, and I'm sure John Caulfield will turn it around. He's a top manager. He's got a full-time squad, and I'm sure they've been read the riot act in training this week, and I'm sure it's going to come good and it's going to click for them. But let's not just talk about Galway too much, because that was a fantastic win for Athlone as well, and probably a team that struggled in recent. Well, they have struggled in recent years. I know they got to the cup semi-final, but then took that extraordinary hammering by Dundalk in that. But there have been signs that this season they're going to be a bit better than that. I'd actually watched them pre-season against Treaty United in the Markets Field, and Treaty actually beat them 2-1. But there were signs, particularly in the second half, that Athlone were coming good. But I didn't see this result coming at all. And what a win for them! And they've got 4 points, decent start with a point to UCD. Probably felt they could have won that game. They were ahead until late on. And now to beat Galway, which they'll take great delight from. the other game, UCD, I didn't see this one coming either, to go down to St Coleman's Park and put 4 past Cove Ramblers. What a win for them. And UCD, another team, they made the playoffs last season, but losing the likes of Yo-Yo Magdi, you thought, well, it's going to be very difficult for them to repeat it this season. And I still think it will be difficult, but did manage to keep on to Colin Whelan, as you say, and that was some win for them to go down and win 4-0 at Cove. And I certainly wasn't expecting that.
I think with UCD though, this season they could be the surprise package that not a lot of people are expecting a lot from, but they'll just churn out results like this. Maybe not the 4-0 every week, but they churn out good results. They have a good young side. They always do. They always produce good players. And Yo-Yo Maddy going to Shells, he hasn't hit the ground running with Shells yet. I'm sure he will as the season progresses, and I hope he does. But I think with UCD, I just think that they are a side that they're a bit like Derry in terms of they can be amazing one week and then they just don't turn up the next. But I think they've set a good marker here that they're going to be, challenging some sort of, whether it's the playoffs or whether it's a title mount. But I think they'll be challenging in some quarters anyway. So I think for UCD, it was a big result for them. And Cove, yeah, I mean they played Cork last week, didn't they? And they got beat by them. And I believe Cork weren't that good at all from reading reports and stuff like that. And a lot of Cork City fans saying that they were lucky to get the result over Cove. So you're looking at that, and then you're looking at losing 4-0 to UCD. It's looking like a struggling start for Cove, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Cove are another one of those clubs that they're operating off a very low budget. They'd have quite a few amateur players, so it would be a big ask for them to try and get promotion. But they have probably overachieved in recent seasons and been kind of there or thereabouts for the playoff places. But they'll be very disappointed to lose their first 2 games. And they're actually in the Markets Field on Friday night facing Treaty United. So a game I'm going to be at and really looking forward to it, and obviously hoping for a Treaty win.
Yeah, well, I think we'll just finish off on the league table then. I mean, you got Cabinteely, who are on top after 2 games with 6 points. Then you got UCD in second on 4 points. Athlone in third on 4 points. Treaty as well, you'll be delighted with that. They're in the top 4 there with 4 points. And then you've got Cork with 3 points. That's it in 5th. Bray with 2 points. Basically level with Shells in 6th with 2 points. Then you've got Galway on 1 point in 8th. And then Wexford and Cove are bottom with 0 points. So I think there's lots of games to play for, and I don't think anyone will be getting carried away. Have you anything else to finish on there before we wrap it up, Gary?
No, it's just to say it's very early days yet, Paul, and it'll take a few weeks for the league table to take shape.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed, and get your comments in. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We're chasing 10k now, so it'll be a big help if you could help us get there. It costs nothing, it's free, and it's only a click. So we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks